never even know. You guys can keep it a secret and everything's all good. But like the Jiffy Lube one or something like that, they ran in there, started taking over the cars. Like, guys, this is a liability. And we learned over this past weekend how bad of a dude Max Holloway is. Guys, please don't try to do the Max Holloway if you're not Max Holloway. That's a one in a lifetime. Anybody who steps in there with him charges dropped after he already told himself, he went on a pod, already kind of talked about, the murder of Tupac and all that. Buddy, you're not getting out after that. Guys, if you go in there and tell so some guy was sitting at the table and he was like, you know what, guys, our sales are down. Let's put a hot chick in our clothes. What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into episode 23 of the Daily Dose Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Happy Monday, guys. Don't forget this podcast is sponsored by Jackpack LLC, all organically grown cannabis right here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, as well as 1GM Construction. Tap in with them for all your roofing and construction needs. Let them know you heard it on the Daily Dose Podcast for 10% off. Quick update on the channel, guys. Of course, we have lots of interviews on there. We got Ray Veza, a local up-and-coming fighter. We got Kobe Fair. He's a standout over there, Extreme Couture. UFC fighter Terrence McKinney. And, of course, BKFC current light heavyweight champ Josh D-Day Dyer. So, lots of good interviews on there, guys. Go ahead and check it out. We got, of course, the fights from this past weekend to go over. The fights coming up this weekend. Give some predictions and breakdowns on that, as well as some current topics. Let's get into it, guys. So the recap from this weekend. Initially, of course, looking at it, I said this was going to be a pretty boring card. And it kind of was like that. I mean, I guess the prelims actually weren't too bad. There's some submissions, TKO. So it was actually pretty good. But then the main card hit. Kevin Vallejos and Danny Silva was an absolute war. That was a crazy fight. Neil Magny put on a beautiful performance. He was kind of struggling. Looked like he was going to maybe lose a decision. He got a nice, beautiful TKO. Estevan Rivix and Elvis Brenner, that one was crazy. So was Chris Duncan and Rebecca. These were just all-out wars, like back and forth, beautiful fights. So these were decisions, but they were actual decisions that were entertaining. So overall, and then, of course, in the main event, you had a submission pretty quick. So the first round was pretty competitive on both sides. Nothing too crazy. I thought that Tiara was getting the better of him, and then he got that submission finally, because towards the end of the first, he was getting some better of the grappling. Took him down in the second, got the face crank, so went pretty well. But yeah, all those decisions on that main card were absolute wars, bangers, so I was wrong on that. On the name-wise, it looked like it was going to be a pretty boring decision, but it actually turned out to be some absolute bangers. So shout-outs to everyone on there on that UFC Apex card. It was definitely a good one. This weekend, let's see what we got. So the main event is Roman Dolidze, Anthony Hernandez. You got Angela Hill on there, Andre Fili, Miles John, Eric Anders. So, there's some pretty decent fights. Again, on paper, nothing blows your hair back. On the prelims, you got the homie Gilbert Urbina, good friend of mine, was around him at Jackson. So, shout out to him. He's going to get the win. And the main card, Eric Anders and Christian Leroy Duncan. Man, that's a tough one. I think, in my opinion, Christian Leroy Duncan's a little more flashy and kind of does a lot more stuff. Eric Anders is just a dog. We've never seen him. Even when he's tired, he'll march forward. In that one, I'm going to take Eric Anders. I think his pressure might break Chris Leroy Duncan. We'll see how that one goes. Miles Johns and Jean Matsusumo. I don't really know who that is. I'm going to take Miles John. Ooh, Andre Fili and Christian Rodriguez. So C-Rod versus Andre Fili. I'm going to take Andre Fili. He's older, of course, but he's still been looking good. I think either a TKO or just overall taking him down, punching him. He just has a great overall game. Fili, he's been in there a long time. I'm taking him. And the co-main, I'm taking Angela Hill. I'm not sure who her opponent is, but Angela Hill, again, crispy striking. She's a beast. She's been around forever. Got to rock with her on that one. And in the main event, Roman Dolidze and Anthony Hernandez. I'm taking Roman Dolidze. Anthony Hernandez comes and puts on a banger as well. It might be a back and forth, but I think Roman's going to pull it off. Probably unanimous decision in that one. So Like I said, this past weekend, I thought it was going to be pretty boring compared to what they turned out to be. We'll see what the fights turn out this weekend. And then the following, we finally have DDP and Hamzat. That card is looking like it's going to be a banger. So we'll have to check it out and see. Some other, MMA news. Khabib was on some interview I saw, and he pretty much confirmed, that Islam versus JDM was going to be his next fight in like November or something like that. I believe I read. So seems like Islam's going to get a shot at that 170 title. And we'll break that down obviously as it comes. But in my opinion, if Bilal couldn't get him down, I don't think Islam will be able to get him down. And it might be a tough night in the office if that's the case. So something funny we saw and we learned over this past weekend how bad of a dude Max Holloway is. Guys, please don't try to do the Max Holloway if you're not Max Holloway. That's a one in a lifetime. Anybody who steps in there with him and wants to do it, best of luck to you. We saw the fighter on the regional scene this past weekend. Looked the video up, did the point down, did the Max Holloway. Looked like the guy did a beautiful feint, came with the overhand and just knocked Buddy into next year. Couple ground and pound shots. He was out of there. So tried to be Max Holloway. Definitely did not work. Ended up getting knocked out. Might end up on ESPN. So, guys, please don't do the Max Holloway if you're not that guy. Max Holloway is an OG. Came up in the UFC since he was 18 years old. He's got that Hawaiian coconut chin. He's one of a kind. You guys should know better. That's all the kind of fighting stuff, I think. Oh, you know what? One thing I did want to bring up, too, is I noticed from the card this past weekend, and maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed like Dominic Cruz and Michael Bisping were kind of going at each other. You know, it seemed like Bisping would get his take on something. Cruz would try and kind of, give a different take on it. I remember at one point he said something about elbows. Cruz was saying something, and he's like, yeah, just ask GSP how those elbows felt. So it seemed like, they were low-key kind of throwing shots, or there was kind of some tension there. And I think that's been the case before, and I totally get it on Bisping's perspective. I mean, I've never personally met Dominic Cruz, but he definitely seems like a dork. I mean, he's a grown man that rolls around with a little-ass dog and whatnot. Super annoying, so I get it, Bisping. But it was funny. If you were listening, I just felt like they were almost kind of low-key arguing on the commentary, so it was pretty funny. I just thought I'd mention that. Now some hot topics and headlines. Let's see what we got going on. Keefe D, guys, he wants his charges dropped after he already told himself. He went on a pod, already kind of talked about, the murder of Tupac and all that. Buddy, you're not getting out after that. Guys, if you go on there and tell on yourself something in a high-profile case like that, you can expect that you're going to have to fight for your freedom. So if you do end up getting out, best of luck to you. But, guys, come on. Don't be that stupid talking about he wants the charges dropped. It's not that easy, buddy. What in the Florida, guys? Florida strikes again. There was a Chuck E. Cheese employee, full outfit, full mouse outfit. Chucky, I believe it's Charles Entertainment Cheese, fully dressed up, gets arrested for credit card fraud. Buddy's in there entertaining the kids, dancing around, doing his thing, and the cops come and arrest him. That is just, I don't know anything more Florida. That was crazy. Something interesting, guys. I've been seeing a lot of people, giving backlash for this Sydney Sweeney ad. Now, during COVID, we did all this whatever. Everybody loves everybody. DEI, all this nonsense, right? We were putting not attractive people in the ads for stuff. Let's just be honest. And nobody really wants to see that. Let's be honest as well, So some guy was sitting at the table and he was like, you know what? Guys, our sales are down. Let's put a hot chick in our clothes and see what happens. Guys, they did over $1 billion in revenue, so they don't really care what you say. Were you guys really shocked? When a girl goes into the store and she sees a hot girl in this outfit, she goes, hell yeah, that's what I want to buy. Not some, fat half guy girl thing. I'm just being honest, guys. You could be and do whatever you want. I don't have anything against anybody. But when you're talking about a marketing scheme on a big level, I don't know how you guys would be shocked. That's exactly what's going to happen. They put a hot girl on the poster, and everybody was like, yo, we want to buy that. I think her clothes are sold out, a lot of the American Eagles, so shouldn't be too shocking, guys. It's pretty common sense. Something I've been noticing, this prankster Heston Cook was arrested. Now, he was a little bit more extreme. He would go to, Jiffy Lube, Chipotle, Walmart, some of these places with like 30 people, and he would tell them that corporate sent him in, and he brought his own, group of employees. He would cause a big old scene. He got arrested. He's facing charges. I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's like a lot of these guys, and then Duke Dennis got arrested too. I think they were playing hide and go seek at a mall. It said like the cops tried to talk to him. He was running away. Again, you could do whatever you want, guys, but play stupid games, win stupid prices. I'm okay with harmless pranks. Even if you want to do something like that with a Chipotle at Walmart, I'm sure if you talk to them, you could probably coordinate it. But when you just mess with people, you get the reaction you get. Again, if I was at the store with my kids and some of these pranks y'all be doing to people, I would smack you upside your head. So it's about time. Again, it's not up to me what happens, but I've just noticed that a lot of these streamers are starting to get arrested, and people are trying to poke back because, again, if people don't want to be involved in that, don't go messing with random people, guys. There's a way to go about things. If you made the same videos he made, but everybody was involved and they all did a good job, you would never even know. You guys could keep it a secret and everything's all good. But like the Jiffy Lube one or something like that, they ran in there, started taking over the cars. Like, guys, this is a liability. This is a waste of people's. If I'm sitting there and my car's getting work done, I'm going to smack one of you guys. So, again, it's just a thing I've been seeing more just in general life. And I tell people this: you're allowed to do whatever you want. That's cool. Do whatever you want. But just know every action comes with a reaction, and you don't get to decide what that reaction is. So play with people, do your pranks, do whatever, and just accept the consequences. That's all I got to say to that. So just pretty interesting. His were a little wild. I mean, they were pretty funny, but, to a degree. I saw something very interesting. So the WNBA, there was a player and her wig fell off. And there was a fan that was laughing for it, and, they could tell he was laughing because of that. So they kicked him out. Like, yo, come on, buddy, you can't laugh because her wig fell off. I mean, I get it. It's no disrespect. Like, that's a funny thing, man. When did we get so sensitive that you can't even laugh at it? If that chick didn't just laugh and pick her wig up and brush it off, but I believe they said she ran to the back and, she eventually came back out. But it's like, Jesus, guys, when did life become so serious? You can't just laugh at yourself. That's the problem with everything. Everything's so serious. Everybody's so my rights, my this, my that, my feelings. Guys, it's okay to laugh at yourself. If she would have just laughed it off, put it on her head, it would have been all good. Nobody would have cared. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's only a headline because they kicked the fan out and she ran away and all this crazy stuff. It's like, guys, who cares? If you have a wig and you look better and you enjoy it, then yeah, you shouldn't be, acting that crazy about it. And I don't care if she wants to act how she reacts. That's totally fine. It fell off. She ran to the back. She was embarrassed. That's totally cool. I just think it's crazy of the WNBA to kick somebody out for laughing for that. It's like, guys, you guys make negative 50 a year. I don't think you're going to make any money doing that. So, pretty crazy. I did notice an uptick in cave diving, both underwater, above land. People taking videos with sharks and stuff like that. And I'm going to just say it right now. 99% of the time, it's white people. And y'all are tripping. Guys, please quit cave diving. Please quit going into these underwater caves in these tight-ass spaces. Putting your head in sharks' mouths, petting them. Guys, who told you guys that sharks don't eat people? Did you have a conversation with a shark and he told you, don't worry, we don't eat people? Because if he didn't, y'all are out of your damn mind. It's just crazy. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's like they're trying to overcompensate. Like, I bet you won't jump off a cave backwards and parachute and all. Like, sure it won't, buddy. All these extreme biking on the hills and, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I would love to skydive in Dubai. There's some cool stuff. But going in a super tight cave just to see if you don't die. Swimming with sharks. I mean, if you want to be in the boat, I would love to be on a boat, take some videos up by them. But to be super close to them and swim right next to them, all it's going to take is one of you guys to get eaten and realize sharks do eat people. So, yeah, guys, y'all are tripping. You guys need to knock it off. I guess, speaking of white people tripping, Matt Rife buys a museum and he now owns the Annabella doll. I don't know if he saw or you guys saw, the previous owner died, right? This guy bought it, had it for a few months, and then he died. I don't know if the cause of death has been noted. Terrible idea, guys. Why would you do that? Why do you guys like to play with stuff like that? Matt Rife is hilarious, super successful comedian. Why do you got to do that? I think you would be just fine if you didn't do that. I promise. It's just crazy. Hopefully, hopefully something doesn't happen to him. But I don't get why people do that. You go, oh, this doll, people been buying it. They mysteriously die. They this, they that. Like, let me go play with it. Guys, how does that make any sense at all? I don't know what you guys are thinking, but pretty crazy one, guys. Lots of current topics from the week. Always stuff going on in the world, guys, but you can view it in a positive or negative light. And you can't control what happens with these outside things, with war, with what other stuff. But while you're here on earth, make your mark and do your best. That's it, guys. There's so many people on the earth that you could network, impact, make a difference with. Just have a good time, guys. Enjoy the ride. We went over the fights from this past weekend. Gave a little bit on my, picks on these upcoming fights this weekend. As always, before we get out of here, let's end it on the message of the week. And kind of off what I was saying is there's no better time than now. Right your wrong, chase your dream, be better, create opportunities. Don't wait, move now, guys. Whatever you want to do, however you want to live, start fresh tomorrow. You know how people get to the top? They start at the bottom. You know how people win the race? They start at the starting line, just as everybody else does, guys. So don't be discouraged. I know sometimes we reflect and we're upset. We wish we would have done this. We wish we would have done that. Timing is everything. Learn, realize what life is trying to teach you and build off that. But just humans in general are capable of so much. And I see a lot of people that waste that. Find out what makes your blood go. Find out what makes you tick. Find out what you're passionate about. Find out how you could impact and influence others and do that to the best of your abilities, and life will reward you for it. I appreciate all the support, guys. Keep subscribing, and sharing episode 23 of the Daily Dose podcast. We'll see you guys next week.